Good evening. We are live. It is UK Colts fans here, and joining me today on this wonderful Friday night is the one, the only, Lawrence Owen. Welcome, Lawrence. Again, thank you for coming on. It always means a lot that you come on the show, especially I know how busy you are being the celebrity you are in Indianapolis. How was camp?
Camp was fun. I get where you come from. I never felt like any type of celebrity until the first opening day of camp, when I'm sitting there doing an interview with Dave Calabro from WTHR, and which is the local news station, and there's a line behind me of like 5 people, and I turn around after the interview, and every one of those people in line were like there to wait to talk to me instead of Dave. And I was like, what? And he even had that look like, huh? Because he didn't know who the heck I was. So it was pretty funny. What's up, Gary Thompson? Thanks for joining. That's awesome. But yeah, I enjoyed it, man. Camp was awesome. I loved meeting all the fans that were out there, especially those that knew who I was and was asking to take pictures and stuff. That's the reason. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets you up every morning, when you realize that people appreciate the content and the effort that you put into your content, and they let you know that. And that's why I do this. And I absolutely positively would not be doing it if it wasn't for the fact that that so many people actually appreciate and show their appreciation. So thanks, everybody. You should give UK Colts fans here a subscription. Follow them, man, because they're out here doing stuff as well, and they're across the pond and they're still doing stuff. So, kind of getting their kind of view from 3,000 miles away or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why we do it, innit? Just to talk football with and connect. Indies are family. We love it, and we just want to connect with you guys. We will get into this latest comment, Nate. I will chat about it soon. But just before we do, quick shout out to Lawrence, who does give up his time to come on these shows, come and talk to us, give his opinion on everything. We love it. You do have a Patreon. I will tweet it out after the show. Guys, it's $5 a month. It's nothing. It's a Starbucks. And it means you get to see great contents like this. Right, straight into it. Nate is not holding any punches. Horrible news about Carson. Reckon our first rounder is safe for next year. Also, Eason season. Baby, let's go. Okay, I'll start, and then I'll let Lawrence. First of all, I don't think it's nothing. He's just probably rolled his ankle. There's no point risking it in camp. Couple of days off, let him have a couple of beers and go hunting with his dogs. It'll be fine. But I am behind Jacob Eason 100%. Lawrence, let's talk about this.
All right. First off, I'm not getting any kind of crazy luck vibes out of this. All right. And all you Colts fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Luck didn't take any snaps during preseason or camp or anything like that when he retired. Now everybody's like comparing the situation. Eason was out there, or not Eason, but Wentz is out there. He's throwing, he's having a ball, and then he does a rollout and he says he feels a twinge in his foot. All right. So he walked off and just wanted to be safe. Indefinitely was the tweet, and the word indefinitely is put out there when you don't know. Right? They're doing tests on it to see if it's anything serious. I'm not too worried about it. I really ain't. I'm not worried about it because, let's face it, I've been walking down the street and felt a twinge in the top of my foot before, and it felt kind of weird. But then, a day or two later, it's perfectly fine. That happens when you have big feet and you're athletic and you do a lot of stuff. I played a lot of sports when I was younger. And I have plantar fasciitis, and you get that occasionally, that twinge in your foot, and it feels weird and it feels awkward and it worries the heck out of you. and there's almost nothing that shows up on tests until they figure out, you know what, it's that muscle on the bottom of your foot. It does things to the top and back of your foot as well. I'm thinking it's probably that, but that don't mean necessarily everything because, you know, I wasn't there and I'm not a doctor. I'm just going by what my personal experiences have been. But they're just being safe. And honestly, we're 6 weeks from the start of the season.
Yeah.
6 weeks. Whatever the problem is, it'll probably be healed up by the beginning of the season. If not Monday, then within a month and a half, most likely. I mean, come on. So, yeah, I mean, he walked off on his own accord. He did a couple interviews. Yes, David, he did a couple interviews afterwards. No, he didn't actually say. I couldn't hear because I wasn't close enough, obviously, to hear what he was saying with the interviews. But he mentioned, from what I understand, he didn't mention anything about his foot. And he wasn't walking funny either, you know, when that happened. So I don't have a problem. I don't see any issues. Now, in my opinion, I mean, it could be bad. Who knows? But indefinitely is put out there because they don't know and they're waiting on tests to come back.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like to me it's just chilling out. You're going to pick up twinges in preseason. It happens. That's why camp and preseason. That's why we have all that. Before I do get into the next little bit, I just want to quickly introduce my co-host, who is usually always here on time, but he got a little bit late. Xavier, how's it going, bud? Looking fresh with the new trim.
I'm pretty good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, brother. Not too bad. We've just been talking about Carson Wentz and how the injury he's got has been blown massively out of proportion. Gary saying if it was a season game, they probably would have just taped it up and go, yeah, exactly. Did you have anything to add, Xavier, on Carson Wentz and his injury?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you guys about that because one of my friends just sent me something on Twitter in the DMs talking about that injury, and I was a little worried about it. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, I think he just sort of twinged it rolling out the pocket. Just kind of open it.
Yeah, it was just like he didn't even roll it, you know. It's just something twinged in his foot, a muscle or a tendon or a bone moved the wrong way or something. At least that's what it sounds like to me. And he just took himself out because, you know, he wanted to be cautious about things like it. When you're a quarterback, you know, your foot is kind of important. Ask Phillip Rivers. The guy couldn't move in the first place, and then he had the foot injury during the season, you know, which made him even more immobile. It was like, you know, a guy in a wheelchair that had his brakes on, you know. You just can't. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Not until I get more definite answers, anyhow.
Anyway, let's go a bit away from camp and big news in the contract game. Braden Smith, you know, this guy has picked up bag and deservedly so. Allowed 0 sacks for so many games. I think I can't even remember how many. But I think what people seem to forget is this guy started off as a right guard and now a right tackle. What I'm going to ask, I'll come to you first, Lawrence, is if this guy was still at right guard, would we be calling him the same as we do Quentin Nelson?
Probably not, because Quentin Nelson was drafted way higher than him in the same draft, and there was a lot more expected out of Quentin Nelson, and he's lived up to that expectations. But in all honesty, man, Braden Smith is an oddity in the NFL, right? You don't draft a guy who played guard all the time in college to be a guard and then kick him out to tackle. You hear the reverse all the time. You hear tackles becoming guards in the NFL, but not the reverse of a guard being a tackle. And in my honest opinion, he's done an absolute fantastic job just improving year after year after year. at that tackle position because, his first season, he had issues with speed rushers around the edge. And he just got better and better at that to the point where I don't know if you noticed, but like the second half of the Browns game last year when Myles Garrett moved from the left tackle to the right tackle and Vernon Hargreaves was over the left tackle, Vernon was still getting all that pressure off of LaRaven Clark. And Myles Garrett, you didn't hear anything from him the rest of the game, because Braden Smith had him locked down.
Yeah. Xavier, did Braden Smith get what he deserved? Or he's frozen.
So I guess I lost it.
Hello, my internet's frozen. Brilliant. Sorry, guys, I'm lagging behind. My internet connection is going haywire. I don't know why it's so bad. Can you hear me, Lawrence?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I don't see you very well, but I hear you.
Yeah, my connection is going crazy.
I think StreamYard had a little bit of a hiccup there because we even lost Xavier there.
Yeah.
But my bad, guys, all you watching.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll wait for Xavier to get back if he can. But so we'll move on. Right. Let's see.
Well, I will say a little something else about Braden.
Yeah.
I think that $18 million a year that Braden got had a lot to do with his draft because he was drafted as a guard. He got paid as a guard. He only got paid an average of $1.8 million a year as a guard, right? And he was listed as a guard. So, and he played right tackle and played at a very, very high level and was making less than $2 million. So I think this $18 million 4-year extension that he got had a little bit to do with that kind of back pay of the Colts and Ballard and them saying, thank you for outperforming what you were being paid. Here's a little money to make up for that. So, because I was expecting about 15 or so mil a year. I think that extra $3 million a year kind of tax on to what he did as, on his rookie contract. And I'm okay with it. As long as Ballard's good with the books. He knows who he's got to sign. He knows, future extensions. I'm sure he's got it set up to where, he'll be able to sign who he wants to sign and not have issues with the cap.
Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't crash again. But Xavier, our resident lineman expert, I'll call you. Was that what you was expecting, that deal?
Yeah, get pretty close range. I was kind of expecting maybe a little bit more just because of the type of season he just had. And also the gradual improvement he showed since he came into the league. So this year he didn't allow a sack. And honestly, when I watch him run block compared to literally every other tackle in the league, I think he's in a category of his own right now. I think when he fires off the ball, he gets downhill, gets his pad level lower than the other guy. He moves anyone. I mean, anybody I've seen him go against, he's moved them. JJ Watt, a couple reps. It really doesn't matter who they put in front of him. He can move them in the run game. It's just in pass protection, he does have to improve a little bit more to get that $20 million. If he wanted that $20 million, he'd had to have been a little bit better, in my opinion. But yeah, $18 million's good. I think they also added his 5th-year option in there too, so it's more like 5 years, $72.5 million, right?
No, he there's no 5th-year option. You only get a 5th-year option on first-round picks, and he was a second round.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Moving on, finally getting to Tom's comment because of the hiccup, but Leonard next to get the money, got to pay the guy. Yeah, the guy's a stud. He's a superstar linebacker. Like, I don't care what sort of linebacker he is. People saying you don't pay him because he's a fuck that, right? Pay the guy, give him the keys to the city. He has been the revival of Indianapolis.
Dude, you pay your playmakers. I don't care what position they're at. If Luke Rhodes was out there getting turnovers all the time, I would give that man $15 million. All right. It doesn't matter what position they're at. If they're out there getting turnovers and making plays and sacks and stuff like that, the way Darius Leonard is, and not just that, but being a leader on and off the field, bringing the energy, things of that nature, you pay the dude. You pay the dude. You've seen, Fred Warner getting that contract, and everybody's like, there's no way Leonard is worth that. And I'm sitting there thinking, Leonard has produced better than Warner has the last 3 years. All right. You obviously pay the guy that is your playmaker on defense. You're already paying one of them, right? In DeForest Buckner, and he's earned every dime of that $21 million. Darius is going to get his 19, probably 19.1. He's probably going to want a little bit more than Fred. Fred had 19 and change. I figure he's probably going to get 19.1 to 19.5, somewhere around in there. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Pay the man. Just remember, when you're going to pay 3 or 4 guys on defense that kind of money, 3 or 4 guys on offense that kind of money, you better be really good at the draft, because you're going to need those rookie contracts to compensate.
Yeah. Xavier?
Yeah. Absolutely pay him. You got to give him money. A guy like Darius Leonard, who is an energizer, a leader, a guy that plays for 4 straight quarters, does not give up, always wants it more than the next guy on the field. You don't get players like that very often. Maybe once every 20 years. The last guy I remember that had that kind of fire in him is a guy like Bob Sanders on our defense. Maybe a Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney, guys like that. But like I said, they just don't come around very often. And the fact that he was a second-round pick, he hasn't made that much money yet. You just give him his money, let him get that big contract, and let him ball out for us, because he's going to do it for years.
And just to finalize this bit off is, people say what they want about Darius Leonard, but he is the type of guy who I wouldn't be surprised if he took a team-friendly deal, because he is that sort of guy. I understand he deserves, don't get me wrong, he deserves, if it was up to me, I'd give him whatever he wanted. I'd sign the contract for him. But for me, Darius Leonard is that much of a leader and that much of a persona in the locker room. I wouldn't be surprised if he turned around and said, Chris, save it for a couple of years, pay me $50 million a year for a couple of years, and then up it when you've got the cap space. And that is just the type of character Darius Leonard is.
Okay, so I don't expect him to take a hit on how much he's paid overall on the contract, but I do see him doing a team-friendly contract.
Yeah.
He may take where, that first few years of the contract might be lesser money, like $10, $12 million a year until, the cap space goes up. He might do something like that, depending upon how the bonuses and things like that roll off the contract. But this is, like you said, he really didn't get paid jack his first few years in the league, because he was a second-round pick and an off-ball linebacker at that. So his contract was very little. It's not like he was getting paid some of the money that like a TJ Watt or something like that was getting paid, right? And that's, just similar positions, more, TJ's more of a pass rusher, as Darius will blitz occasionally, but he's more off ball. But when I'm looking at, just how important he is to the defense, that's what I'm looking at. I don't expect him to take an overall pay cut, though. I do expect him to take a team-friendly deal, though.
Yeah. Xavier, anything to add?
Yeah. As much as I would love for that to happen, you got to pay him. You got to give him his money, man. He's definitely earned every penny of it. I'm expecting anywhere between 15, 20. And like you said, though, we could see him do that, 12, 10 to start the first couple of years, just so we can get Quentin Nelson signed. some other important guys. But it's kind of a pipe dream to hope that he signs that team-friendly deal because he's really put in the work for it.
Yeah, of course. He don't get me wrong, he deserves $20 million a year. It's just, I wouldn't be surprised if he just, like we've been saying, he takes a team-friendly deal because Darius Leonard is just that guy to help the team. He don't care about money. He just wants to play football. But yeah, pay him by all means. We got a couple of comments, so I'll go through them and then we'll sort back on them. Robbie, nice to see you, bud. Saying Bobby O is the future. I hope so. Gary, Braden and Nelson both did 35 reps in the bench press. The only Colt to lift more, Quickie Pay at 36. We'll get into that because that's an interesting battle. And then Robbie coming back. Thoughts on how Darius will play without his best mate, Anthony Walker. Are we expecting the same level? Okay, so we can sort of tie Robbie's comments into one, by saying, do we expect Darius Leonard to bring Bobby Okereke up to the Walker-Leonard level? Or are we going to expect Darius Leonard have to babysit a bit more? I'll start with you, Lawrence.
All right, so Darius is taking over Anthony Walker's job. I get it that Bobby is going to be the mic, but Darius is the guy making the pre-snap reads and directing the defense, and that's what Anthony Walker did. And that's so crucial to a defense, is making those pre-snap reads and making so all Bobby Okereke has to do is play hard, play pass, play downhill. And Bobby's got to show me that he is going to improve in the run game. All right. Perfectly fine in the pass game. I have no issues with that. But he does have some problems that I think that he could really increase in the run game. Darius himself, I think he's perfectly fine. The only issue I have is transition from doing the pre-snap reads and directing the defense to getting his game face on and just being that guy, being that regular playmaker that he is on the field during the play. That little transition right there, that's the problem. I want to see how that works out, and we'll see it during preseason this year.
Xavier, have you got anything to
add? Yeah, I think he kind of hit a nail on the head right there. I think that Bobby Okereke is really going to have to get better at getting into the trenches, getting off blocks, shedding blocks. That's going to be a big step up for him because that's not an easy thing to do, especially in the NFL. And, just Darius Leonard being able to take over that role of an Anthony Walker. That's going to be really the biggest thing I think that our defense is going to need. I think there's more stability with Rocky Eason right now than Darius Leonard just being able to take over and direct this defense fourth year in the league if he's never done it, because that is a big job. There's not many players that can do that can consistently read what a quarterback wants to do on the field play after play. But if anyone can do it, I mean, Darius Leonard is he's a film nerd a little bit. Say he likes to dabble in the film. He's always one step ahead, it seems like. Now he's got to be vocal about it.
Well, one thing I can say is Darius was in Anthony Walker's hip, the first few seasons of his, here. He learned how to, break film down and things like that through Anthony Walker. And he learned everything. But that's why Darius is taking over that role that Anthony Walker had. And like you said, if anyone, I think, in this linebacking core can do it, it would be Darius. So, I'm hoping for the best, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Robbie's done this because he knows how much I love Jacob Eason. Harrison, thoughts on Eason to Doyle in the last second to the Super Bowl to win us the ring. Everyone knows, especially Xavier, how big I am on Jacob Eason. I think this kid is generally a hidden gem. I think, I liked his attitude. Especially going through college, he could have easily turned around and said it was everybody else's fault. He had to transfer, and then it didn't go to plan when he transferred. And we picked him up in the draft. I can't remember if it was the 4th round. It might have been later. But But seriously, with Carson Wentz, the football's football. We've seen it with Paris Campbell. Touch wood, hopefully it doesn't happen. But if something does go wrong, can we rely on Eason? I think we can rely on Eason to maybe drag this team to the playoffs, especially with the tools around him. Or do you guys want to go out there and get a veteran QB in free agency?
No, that's why Eason's here.
Yeah.
What I saw in camp with Eason was the best thrower on the field, even over Wentz. Eason was absolutely he was making Andrew Luck kind of reminiscent throws. Okay. I watched him drop a dime to Jonathan Taylor, who ran an out and up, and Jonathan Taylor was at full sprint. Okay. And with a defender on him, and he dropped it right on the fingertips of Taylor, man. And it was a beautiful pass. Easy. It would have been a touchdown no matter what, because he caught that. It actually looked like Taylor had to kick in his extra gear because Eason led him perfectly. Eason was 8 of 8 yesterday. I don't know the full contents because I wasn't there today. 8 of 8 yesterday. None of the quarterbacks looked overly great on opening day, but Eason looked the best throwing the football. I'm not saying he looked the best overall. Obviously, Wentz, his mobility and stuff looked really good, but just the delivery of the football, that's the reason why the Colts went and got him. So we'll see. Obviously, Brady, from what I'm understanding, did a lot of work with him today, doing a lot of plays where it was just getting the ball out of his hands quickly, and Eason was doing that. If he's standing in the pocket, he's going to be a great quarterback, but it's the worry of, if he has to move around. So if there's any team in the NFL I think Eason could succeed, it would be here because of the offensive line.
Yeah. Xavier?
Yeah, I fully believe in Eason. I'm right there with you. I love Eason. He's got a huge arm. He's got a cannon attached to his arm. Anytime he wants to, he can put it, 70 yards down the field if he really wants to. The biggest issue, like he said, is just if he has to improvise, how will he do? How will he do at getting out of the pocket and, having to get off script, do stuff like that? I think he will be fine if he can stay in the pocket, like he said, make the usual reads, have options 1 and 2 open up immediately. It's just it would take him years to develop that because he doesn't have that right now, in my opinion. Or you've seen him at camp. Does it look like he has that 3rd, 4th read development yet? Does it look like he can you know what I'm saying?
One of his passes in camp was a 3rd read, and it was to Campbell over the middle. And it was dead on the money. So yeah, Eason's getting through his reads. I haven't seen him go to his 4th read yet. But I have seen him go his first, move to his second. I've seen him go to his 3rd read as well. So, now to be fair, most of these 11-on-11 team practices, they only last like 2 minutes at a time, maybe 5 minutes at the most. You don't get a whole lot of reps. You usually get anywhere between 8 and 10 reps, depending upon what team you are on. On day 1 and 2, he practiced with the starters a few times, and looked good doing it. So, his rep, getting through his reads quickly, he's getting a lot better at it than what I saw in college, anyhow.
Yeah.
He said he was ready to play. Yeah, maybe he's there.
The one thing I will say we have learned about Chris Ballard teams, or Frank Reich teams, however you want to put it, is you will compete for your spot every day of your life. Like, you don't come in, Carson Wentz didn't come in, and I know we knew he's going to be starting QB1. But I think even picking up Erlinger in this draft has just slammed that home that nobody gets an easy ride. And that's what I like about this Colts team. Nobody's got a secure spot. If someone came in to be better than Quentin Nelson, it's not going to happen. But if they did, Chris Ballard wouldn't hold off and be like, well, maybe this, maybe that. No, you win your spot and you keep it. And that is the key to this Colts team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's straight up. He was asked in the pre-camp presser, about vaccinations, having to do with stuff, and he's like, dude, I'm putting the best guys on the field no matter what. We want to win. So, whoever shows they are the best at their position is getting the starting spot. And it doesn't matter whether your name is Jacob Eason. It doesn't matter whether your name is Joe Montana. It doesn't matter. You play the best at your position, you're playing. Now, that doesn't mean that people won't get playing time. I mean, he's going to find the best talent he can no matter what and get it on the field. At least Reich will. Reich is one of those guys that he's going to find a way. If you have talent and there's a way that he can make that talent produce on the field, he's going to find a way to do it and get you snaps out there to do so.
Xavier?
Yeah. That's something you got to admire in a GM nowadays. Because if you look at the Packers organization, this is no hate to Mike McCarthy, but they kept Mike McCarthy for 10 years. All right. There's some GMs. You look at a certain team in the NFC East, Mr. Jerry Jones, who likes to play favorites. And Chris Ballard doesn't do that. I love that. I love that so much because that always means that we're going to be competitive in today's league. That means that all the talent he's going to find, he's going to play the best players. That means that we're going to see this Colts team be able to compete in the AFC East for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, just got lost in a couple of comments there. What I would like to get back to is to Nate's comment. Which players you got for a dark horse for a huge step up in production this year? I mean, for me, it's simple, and I don't think he classed as a dark horse anymore, but that's Zach Pascal. I love this guy. I think he's a solid number 2 right now, and I think even next year when T.Y. Hilton goes, because let's be honest, this is probably going to be his last year unless some miracles happen. I think he has the potential to be number 1. Now, I know Pittman and Campbell are the younger, fresher guys, but we still need that vet there, and I think Zach Pascal is the perfect vet to step in. Lawrence, you?
There's a ton of dark horses. Pretty much on offense, if you're not picking Jonathan Taylor or Michael Pittman Jr., then it's a dark horse. And there's a ton of guys on offense that can be a dark horse. I like Mo Alley Cox. I like the way he's looked in practice so far at camp. I'm understanding that Kylan Granson had a pretty good training camp as well. Didn't get a lot of snaps on day 1, but day 2 didn't look so bad. Let's see here. Paris Campbell. Yeah. Day 1, man had a GoPro strapped to him. All right. And he was out there making plays. Like I said, that throw from Eason to Campbell over the middle was beautifully done by both. And as fast as Campbell and Jonathan Taylor are, right, for Eason to already be able to hit them in stride on the money says a lot to me. I don't have any worries at the quarterback position. I don't have any worries on the offense, like when it comes to skill positions. I think the Colts are deep at skill. I'm a little worried about offensive line depth, especially at the tackle position. That's all. Defensively, Rock's had a great camp. Rock has had a great camp, especially in the absence of TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes, right? Marvell Tell's had a pretty darn good camp as well. Quickie Pay has been getting into that NFL mode. He's not quite used to playing at the speed and the how quickly they move through practice sessions, but I mean, you could see it in his face too. At the end of day one, he was beat. He was tired. But yeah, he keeps it up. I think Quickie Pay could be somebody that could surprise some people. Generally, you don't expect a lot out of a rookie, but Pay looks like he's really out there putting out a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm. Xavier?
Yeah, the number one guy I'm hoping for is definitely Paris Campbell. Any day of the week, I really, really believe in him, his skill set, that speed. You know, he's just kind of that X factor on the field. If he has a good season, I feel like this offense is really going to be at another level, just by what we've seen him do at Ohio State and what we've seen him do in the NFL whenever he's healthy.
Yeah, sorry, what was that last bit? I just paused.
Oh, I was saying that we've already seen him at the college level and the NFL level make big plays. I think he can do it when he's healthy.
Yeah. Okay. Gonna get into a few comments now because people are having a nice little chitter chatter. Colts loyalist. For those who don't know, he works well with Lawrence. He does a lot of work with you. I know that, and he's and he's a great guy. He just missed that conversation about bringing in a veteran QB, and that's I think we pretty much come to the conclusion that's why Jacob Eason is in there.
Yeah. They've got 4 quarterbacks. They've got 4 quarterbacks out there already. Even with Wentz out, we got 3 quarterbacks. I don't think they bring another body in, at least until we know what's going on with Wentz.
Yeah. Master Blaster, welcome to the show. Dark Horse for big yardage / TD production. Granson, and he's saying Dark Horse for surprising yardage. Sorry, that was a mouthful. Is Strachan. Colts loyalist going with Dark Horse for TDs, our defense. I like that. I like that. Yeah, and obviously Master Blaster agrees because let's get this straight. This defense with the addition of Quickie Pay is mean. And I mean mean. Imagine being able to bring Quickie Pay in to the school of Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney to then be guided by Darius Leonard and, Xavier Rhodes on this defense and DeForest Buckner. For me, and Xavier knows where I'm going with this, Matt Eberflus needs to blitz more. Lawrence, obviously, you watched a lot of scrimmage over time in camp, and we can get hyped about camp stuff. It happens. We've not watched football for a long time now. We've had nothing to talk about. It's good to feel good about your team. And that's the beauty of the offseason. Everyone reckons they're winning the Super Bowl. What has stood out in these scrimmages to you, especially on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, first off, they won the day one. And if they didn't win the day one, then you knew something was going to be wrong because defenses should always win day one training camp. Because the offense is still looking to get connection with each other. So the fact that they won it means that they're still on their level. They also look to be doing better working with each other, communication wise. I'm not seeing Eberflus sending in a lot of blitzes. I'll tell you that. That's just a thing. I personally, like you said, I would love to see him send blitzes. Now, it's training camp, obviously. They're out there working on fundamentals and things of that and seeing how each guy works with each other and getting familiarity with each other in the playbook. So that's cool. We don't even have padded practices yet. That ain't until Monday, right? So we still got a ways to go before we start to really see how this team is going to develop overall before the 2021 season. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing so far from both sides of the field, offense and defense.
Xavier, you regularly break down linemen on our show. You regularly tell me what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. You explain it in layman's terms, basically, for me. And, what really is it about Quickie Pay? And we can talk about his ferociousness and all that jazz, but what is it that just makes him an excellent first-round pick?
Yeah, one, it was really the steal we got because I fully expected Quickie Pay to go top 15. I thought he was the best edge rusher in that class. Jalen Phillips kind of got a little bit of a boost after his pro day. He ran like a 4.58 40, which is really good. But Quickie Pay ran a 4.52. So, there's differences. Quickie Pay as an athlete is a step above Jalen Phillips, in my opinion.
I disagree.
You don't think he is? Well,
I think Jalen Phillips was the edge better. Just edge. I thought Jalen Phillips was edging out Pay the same way you feel about Pay. But either way, they were both, number one, number two, very good edge rushers in this past draft.
Yeah. It's just the way I looked at it. I really go based off of at least young edge rushers. I kind of look at it as a athleticism thing. Jalen Phillips was by far the better, more skilled player. He's definitely more skilled at his position coming in because he just has a better repertoire. Pay is kind of raw. Yeah, exactly. He is a very raw player, but I have like the utmost faith in guys like Robert Mathis, people, just some regular names, to teach him up. And I think that Pay by the end of the season is going to be an absolute menace. That's just my opinion on him. I think that with the kind of strength he has right now, the kind of athleticism, his ability to just get off the ball and punch someone in the chest and move them back, constantly winning the line of scrimmage battle, which is a big thing I look for in defensive linemen. If you're winning the line of scrimmage battle rep after rep, you're going to get a big boost for me because when I look at offensive linemen, I look at, are they winning the line of scrimmage battle? And if they're not, then I'm probably not going to like that guy. And something guys like Braden Smith do and Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Mark Glowinski, guys like that, they win the line of scrimmage battle constantly.
Yeah, the one thing about Pay that I did like was that he was in the backfield. Even a yard in the backfield is a bonus, especially against when it comes to run defense, because it can mess up where the running back has to go and, cause him to go off kilter for a moment or two. And just that split second of having to change where he's going can help a defense corral him. So I get that. I understand that. Quiddy has that in his repertoire. And, like you said, guys like Robert Mathis and the rest of the team, they kind of got some clay to work with. And once he gets a lot of secondary pass rush moves, backup moves, things of that nature, I think Pay will be solid. I'm not expecting a double-digit sack season this year, but I'm thinking, over the next 2-3 years, you're going to see and appreciate the development of Quickie Pay.
I'd like to say is, just like Carson Wentz coming in, we don't need Quickie Pay to come in and be a superstar.
Mm-mm.
We need Quickie Pay to come in and distract linemen from DeForest Buckner. Let's get real now. DeForest Buckner is our quarterback go-getter. He's the guy who likes to break through. He's a monster. But his QB hits, against a exceptional QB hits are not enough. We've seen it time and time again. QB hits, yeah, they might work and they might hurt the QB, but someone like Tom Brady, who's just got that arrogant knack of coming back and coming back and coming back, a QB hit's not going to stop him. And half the time, they've already got the ball off. Even if it is a 5-yard gain, it's a 5-yard gain. Now, with DeForest Buckner and Quickie Pay on that line, you can't double boy for them guys. And that is just the fact how I see it.
No, you can't double Grover Stewart either.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what Grover Stewart's job is as the one tech is, eat doubles. And you can't double him because if you double him, then you're putting one guy on, Defoe and Defoe will just walk around you. You've seen it where he just kind of, excuse me. And, next thing you know, he's in the backfield and the offense is like, I don't know what to do. It's going to be very difficult for teams to double up on anyone on this Colts D line.
Yeah. And to go off that, we're not talking about a few guys right now. We're not talking about Kamoko Toure. who could possibly be a breakout player for us on the edge. Another guy, Dayo's not going to be here day one, but maybe during the season. I love Dayo. I think he's one of the most explosive players coming out of the draft. And I think that what Chris Ballard said, if he wouldn't have been injured, this guy's probably a day one pick. He was really good, really explosive at Vanderbilt. Watched him play a couple games. He was just, if you looked at the whole field, he was the fastest moving. He looked like the Tasmanian devil moving around the field. He's crashing into everything. It didn't matter who you were. He was just full speed straight off the go. So I think there's a couple guys we're not talking about, not thinking about. I think this defense has a little bit up their sleeve for next season.
Oh yeah, Dio. It's funny you said Tasmania. I said that in my breakdown of him. Dio reminds me a lot of DeForest Buckner. The way he uses his size, length, and strength and speed. He just does. The only thing that Buckner seems a little more in control of his body when he goes and does the stuff, whereas Dio seems to just kind of go on instinct, right? You get what I'm saying? I think that'll probably get worked out, especially once, like you said, once he gets healthy and is able to work out with guys like Defoe and them who have similar body styles. I think Defoe will be a huge tutor for Dio in the upcoming seasons.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent point. We, as Colt fans, we all seem to forget about our second round pick this year, which is Dio. Because instantly, when you are the first round pick, instantly spotlight shines on you. It's just the way of the game. And like Xavier said, he's not going to be here day one, but 17 games, that's a long time to carry on playing. So it's going to help having that talent in there. Just getting on to loyalist comment, with Defoe's, we could have a number one deep mentality. In Blackman's, we're looking for 40 turnovers. Which statement is more likely? I don't think we're ever going to have a number one D, just because we're not a media team, and people can say what they want about that. I've said it before, is we're not the media team. We're not the days of Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne. We have to build that back up, So for me, 40 turnovers, I know it's a lot and it's ridiculously a lot. What's ours, like 2 a game? It's a lot to ask, but I do think we will be a high turnover team going our way. What do you guys think?
I'll let Xavier go first.
If I'm going to be realistic, neither. But I guess like you said, 40 turnovers. Maybe Julian Blackman's catching 2 interceptions a game, and DeForest Buckner's getting a few strip sacks here and there, bumps some numbers up. But I would hope for us to get a number one defense. One of the things you brought up there was how we're not a media team. Well, if you go look at PFF, they don't even have us as a top 10 roster right now. They say the Colts aren't a top 10 roster. And when you look at what the youth we have, and you look at the players we have at important positions like elite defensive linemen, and we just picked up another lineman in the draft that has the skill set or has the potential to be elite. You get an elite playmaker at the next level in the linebacker core, and then you got potentially an elite playmaker in Julian Blackman, who looked absolutely great his first year. Then you go to the other side of the ball, elite playmakers up front in the offensive line. Not playmakers, I guess, but elite offensive linemen. This team, to me, maybe I'm being a homer, I don't know, looks like a top 10 roster. I could be wrong. There's a few people on there, I don't remember who it was, that I just looked at and was like, I don't think these rosters are better than ours, but that's just how I feel about it. I think the media is always going to put the screws to us. They're never going to really give us our respect just because we're not the 49ers, or we're not Green Bay, or we're not Denver, or teams like that.
That's fair enough. I think the Colts have a top 10 roster, especially when it comes to depth. Yeah. Do we have the most big names on the team? No. but I feel like on per basis, when you lose your number one wide receiver, I think the Colts will be fine because depth at wide receiver. Running back, you lose our number one running back, we'll be fine because of depth at running back. Same with multiple positions across the board for the team. You can't say that for the majority of the NFL teams out there. To answer Loyalist's question, it's by far an easier chance to get the number one overall defense than to get 40 turnovers. I mean, come on. Last year, the Colts had 24 turnovers, 24 turnovers last year, right? 15 picks, and 8 fumble recoveries. So that's 23 turnovers. And that's half. That's half. And believe it or not, 15 interceptions on a team is pretty good. Pretty darn good, right? So getting 40 turnovers is a high ask. I get where he wants it. I don't. You put your goals out of reach. I think that's what you do. You put your goals out of reach so that you're striving to be the best that you can, no matter what. Because if you're like, well, we had 23 turnovers last year, if we can get 25, see, that's not making you want to push yourself that much more, right? You're asking for twice as much. That's pushing yourself a whole lot more. The number one, I mean, the Colts had the number 2 run defense in the NFL. They had the number 1 defense overall. The first 5 weeks of the season. Last year, now granted, some of those teams that we played against were like the Jets, but they finished 8th overall in defense. That's not bad for a season. That's top 10. I mean, how can you not have a top 10 team to your point there earlier when you're talking about rosters, when you had the number 10 offense in the NFL and the number 8 defense in the NFL last year and not say you're a top 10 roster?
It's ridiculous, isn't it? It is ridiculous. Just get on to Master Blaster. I mean, 40 turnovers is more likely because that could happen. It's much more of a fluke byproduct of being a good defense. Number 1 defense means you're a great defense. No chance of fluking, granting you're on the number 1. I mean, I get where you're coming from, and don't get me wrong, we would love 40 turnovers. We would love if we, won every game just by defense, and Carson Wentz could sit on the bench for a full season and not have to play. I'd love it, but let's be real. It's a long season. 40 turnovers is a lot. Number 1 defense is asking for a lot, but like you said, we've got to put them goals in there. If you don't challenge yourself, what's the point? Yeah, go on now. But like you said, we was number 2 run defense, you said, Lawrence? Right
behind Tampa Bay, yeah.
And we played against Derrick Henry twice.
Yeah.
I
mean, we played against Dalvin Cook week 2 last year, and Dalvin Cook got nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And, this is a team where I like the expectations we're going in with, but just enjoy it. Just enjoy it because this is going to be a fun team to watch. I'll round out the show now because, we've been talking 55 minutes about the Colts, and I love it, every minute of it. So to round out, guys, I just simply want who your favourite player is going into next season. It doesn't have to be Carson or Quentin or just someone who you really, really have liked the look of.
Well, my favorite player is DeForest Buckner. I'm a defensive guy. My all-time favorite's Dwight Freeney. So going, in that general vicinity. My favorite guy to watch right now, believe it or not, I like watching Jacob Eason. He reminds me of a lot of I like the way he throws. It's just a thing of beauty the way he throws the football. Okay. I get it. There's other things he needs to work on, and we're waiting to see if he's getting it down. But man, it is a work of art the way he releases that football and the way it's delivered.
Xavier?
There's a lot of, I love watching the team. I mean, it really doesn't matter. There's not one particular player I can narrow it down.
Want one. I
want
want to sit on the fence for this. I want one.
You know who I like, man. Quentin Nelson. After every game, I go and watch our offensive line play every single rep, probably 2 or 3 times, because I just love watching offensive line play. But Quentin Nelson, man, it's just unreal. I've said this a couple of times on other podcasts that I think that he is the most dominant player in the league, regardless of position. I don't think there's anyone that moves, that dominates their position like Quentin Nelson. One-on-one matchups. If you go watch the Titans last year, every one-on-one matchup he had, it was just murder. It was, that's putting it lightly, honestly, because he could take a man, move him 4 yards, put him on the ground, and then work to the next level a couple times. Like, he had the game of his life week 10.
Well, I expect that out of Quentin Nelson. I came to expect that out of Quentin Nelson over the last few years. The guy that I like watching on the offensive line is Ryan Kelly, and his elbow injury is really going to hurt. Ryan Kelly is such a smart offensive lineman. He is able to keep his head on a swivel, help out either guard at any point in time, and at the same time keeping an eye out in case there's a stunt or something getting ready to happen towards his direction. He moves to the second level to help the run game out very fluid and efficiently. He's just, I think Ryan Kelly doesn't get the credit he deserves, even by Colts fans, Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I looked at a couple, there's a couple guys I watch on YouTube, one of them being Jackson Kruger Sports, and another, PFF as well. I looked at a couple lists of top 10 centers. PFF had him at 9, and I think Jackson Kruger had him at 8. And I really feel like that's blasphemous. You can call me a homer, whatever you want. There is not 7 to 8 other centers in this league better than Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly does everything. Zone run scheme, power run scheme, pass protection. You want it, you got it. He does it all. And then he does it all at an elite level as well. There's a reason he was all pro. A lot of people want to talk about all these NFL awards mean nothing. I feel like that's a lie. I think if you're an all-pro player, there's a reason you're there. There's a reason that all these people are looking at you around the league and they're choosing you to be the all-pro player.
Yeah, Pro Bowl is not as important. It's more of a popularity contest nowadays. But when you're voted into the all-pro, that's the players and coaches voting you in that you're playing against. And if you're dropped on all-pro, then that's saying you have respect of the rest of the NFL at who you're playing against on a daily basis. So yeah, I still put all pro up there as very important.
Yeah, cool. Believe it or not, I just bring up one last question, and I promise, Lawrence, I know you're a busy man. So it is the last question. But I saw an interesting concept brought up on Twitter, and that was, instead of the Pro Bowl, you have the 2 worst teams play it out for the number 1 pick. Now, is that something that you think would be better than the Pro Bowl? Is that just a stupid idea? Or is that because I don't watch the Pro Bowl game? I watch all the challenges and stuff because they're a bit of fun to watch. But I don't watch the game. But, the 2 worst teams going at it for the number 1 pick?
No. Who would get the number 1 pick? The winner?
Yeah, the winner.
The winner would get the first.
Yeah,
pick.
the winner would get
because you couldn't say the loser gets the number 1 pick because no one would watch that game. Because no one would be playing that game. They'd be like, well, we got special teams out there playing offense today. And, if they're actually fighting to win.
Yeah.
See, because it is kind of funny that does have legitimacy. a little bit, because schedule has a lot to do with your record as well. You could be a better team than somebody else and have a worse record because you're in a different division and your schedule is tougher. It's like, if like right now, the AFC South, we're playing a couple pretty good divisions this year in the AFC East and the NFC West, right? But what about the teams that are playing the NFC East and, I don't know any team. Honestly, I don't like the AFC West, but a lot of people do. The AFC North is pretty good this year, though. But yeah, it has a lot to do with scheduling and who you're playing against. So you have the two worst teams fighting it off to win, which I think that could do it. But at the same time, man. Nah.
Don't think some of that isn't broken.
No one's going to want to play extra games to get the number 1 or number 2 pick. And are they going to pay the players to do it like a regular?
Yeah.
They'd have to pay them. Pro Bowl, the guys playing the Pro Bowl get paid, to play that game. And I get it. The Pro Bowl don't mean nothing. But it's just for fun to watch your favorite players out there on the field, in the NFL, see how they look against other guys that are, top notch that year, or at least, considered to be, even though, 3/4 of the voting is by fan base. So, which is why a lot of Colts players don't get, in because there's, the fan base just isn't quite as, massive as like a Cowboys or the Patriots or something like that.
Xavier?
Yeah, as wildly entertaining as that would be,
to
finally get to see the Jaguars and Adam Gase open up their playbooks,
right?
It would, I just don't think another team could play it just because of the money issues. And, another team isn't looking at the two worst teams in the league aren't looking at, all right, off season's coming. Let's go play this game for the first pick. It's just a little out there. But I would be down for it. Honestly, it would be so entertaining to have that last game against the two worst teams. It would just be like backyard football, pretty much, with all the stuff they would try to do, all the crazy schemes you would see come out at that point.
Yeah, and Colts loyalist. Yeah, it'd be hard to go in for tanking for Trevor. So we got to try and win this one. Yeah, I'm not saying it should replace the Pro Bowl, but like we said, don't fix something that isn't broken. But it's just fun to flirt with these ideas, these crazy ideas that we have. That's what the off season's for. Anyway, now it's over an hour, so I will let my co-host and guest get on with the lives because they probably have lives, whereas I just like podcasting about the Colts. Anyway, go and check out Lawrence Owen. The guys watching this probably know who you are anyway, but go and check out Lawrence Owen for anyone who's watching. You do Colts Law, you do Newsbreak, you do Patreon, which is only $5 a month. I mean, you could get what for that? You could get a cup of coffee. So go and subscribe to him on there. My co-host Xavier, go and check out his YouTube channel, High Octane Analysis. When I say Xavier is our resident expert, he really is. Especially with linemen, he knows how to break them down. He knows what's a bad cadence, what's a good cadence, and all that jazz. So go and check him out. Guys, I just want to say,
smash that like button.
Yeah, smash the like button. Smash the like button. Subscribe, all that jazz. Mainly because if you do subscribe, you can tell me what you think and tell me what you want to see more of, and etc. This is a fan channel. As Lawrence was saying earlier, we do it for the passion of the fans. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you all later.